Hello, everybody. Welcome to our day 7 of getting through the holidays. My name is Jona bryndis, and next to me is
Roger Schwartz. Hi, everyone.
Roger. By the way, is in Florida. I'm in Colorado, so he's obviously not sitting right next to me. And we want to welcome you, everybody, to come here to this daily show for the remaining 5 more days and how to handle the holidays energetically. And the last days have been really exciting. We are honored and humbled by your guys' contributions, questions, and so forth. And if this is the first time you're coming to this show or you're listening to the recording right now, know that you can ask questions at any time. You can send and text questions that we will read out and answer. And you can also speak directly into the microphone. In the past, we've found out that it always takes a little one or two people to break the ice here to speak into the microphone, but it's really healing and very wonderful actually to listen to other people's sharings and to their experiences. So know that this is the place for this, all right? This is why we're doing this. In the past years, we've done 24/7 online support services or free sessions and so forth. And this year we thought, Roger and I thought that instead of doing sessions or being there the entire time, to really just do the show and direct everybody to the show to ask questions. There are a few questions that were sent in ahead of time, and I will address them as they fit in. All right, so we have a few sort of questions here on the back end that are waiting to be answered, and we don't forget them. We won't forget them, so don't worry. They're there. They just don't fit into the focus that we have here right now. I've been asked this quite a few times the last couple of days. This is what we do here at transCODES. I've looked at my webinar software. I've done over 150 webinars this year, which means, well, almost every second, every third day. So there's a lot of free webinars that we offer. And as some of you know, we have a program called Sacred Self-Healing, which provides people with this access to these free webinars. My name is Jona bryndis, and this is Roger, skydiving. And we don't have a particular panel guest today, even though we announced we were going to have Jeff here, Jeff Casper, and we will try to get him in tomorrow. Okay, there's technical issues with him being here and me being here at the same time. I also want to announce that for today's session, we're going to have to be very punctual. Some of you know this. We have an event going on at transCODES right now, at the Gaia Sophia Marathon, and we actually have a remote energy session at 9 p.m. So we're going to have to leave here at 8:55, 59-ish. Okay, so please forgive me if I start talking very quickly, or if we just have to refer to tomorrow.
That reminds me, Yona, I'll be stepping out probably 10 minutes before then, about the time you start the channeling. So I want to announce right now, if anyone has difficulties, as before, you can email me at roger@transcodes.com. Help get through the holidays. We can connect on Skype audio or telephone, whatever.
Awesome, Roger. Thank you so much for this. We've already experienced that this is a very beautiful service that you're offering there, and some people have already taken advantage of this. The objective of this webinar show / meeting is, like I said, for you to ask questions or to just share. We had some really great questions the last couple of days, and I would have never really addressed these aspects if they wouldn't have come from you. So please understand that it is your input that makes us become able to answer in more depth. All right. We also want to empower you. So in between your questions, we'll just keep talking. We'll just bring out some slides here and try to explain some general energetic dynamics. I already have a list of things here on my sheet that need to be addressed energetically, just to explain, them a little further so that it's easier for you to understand. And lastly, of course, encourage you to become an active participant in your spiritual journey. So at the beginning of each show, we reflect on the current collective energies of the day. Now we have listeners here from all over the world. So for some of you, it's the beginning of the day, very early in the morning. For others, it's the end of the day. But just sort of reflecting on the last 24 hours. Does anybody want to share? What was different today than yesterday? I think today was very different than yesterday. Does anybody want to share? And you can, again, just type in comments, questions, or use the raise your hand button to show us that you would like to speak into the microphone. Personally, I had a very challenging day today, so I'm going to blur this out here. I wrecked my daughter's car, and I did not handle this very well. So today was my day of not getting through the holidays with grace. Just saying this out loud. I feel fine now, but last night was rough. Old stuff coming up. Someone was sharing this here, and this is within the last 24 hours. Yeah, energies were a little more busy than yesterday's. That's true. This is exactly what I felt too. It was very agitated throughout the day. Out of nowhere.
I actually went to the park myself twice and sat with my favorite tree and grounded very well, calmed down, let the bird song come in. That helped a lot.
So you go to the park in order to do what?
Well, it's one of our grounding practices that we learned through working with you, actually. Go select a tree and connect to it with permission, sit with it, and then actually try and feel out how the tree is nourished completely by Gaia and connect with the energies of the tree. And the root system going into the ground basically is as large as what the tree is above. So you expand your energy down into that and then bring that up into you, and just calms you right down and connects you with the earth.
So you use it for grounding and for clearing. Just go out in nature and sit.
Yes. And I love allowing bird song to come in. I can be among traffic, and if there's birds around, I can just focus on that. Bird song just clears energy really well, too.
Yes, and you're not the only one, Roger. We got 2 more people here who said, yes, I did too. I went to the park, went into nature. And throughout the day, I've been coaching throughout the day, and there's always this thing that I notice that these energetic sensations that we have and experiences that we have, it doesn't just seem to hit one person. It's always really almost like a tendency every day. So today was a lot of parenting stuff. Yes, old stuff coming up, sadness with the children. Yes, I got quite a few comments here. This is something that today was a day that sort of zoomed us back in the past, interestingly. And there was also some aspects with our ancestors that were coming forward today. I'm not sure if I will have enough time to talk about this today, but there is, yes, old stuff, a lot of people repeating, yes, and argues with the kids. Okay, so this is how, if we live with people, then it's of course a bit more, in our home. So if we live on our own, we can only notice this maybe when we get phone calls or when we go outside or when we're in traffic. There was a lot of agitation today, a lot of argue, a lot of fight, yes, and except for those of us, who have like this environment where they're absolutely aware of what kind of energies are around them and where they're in control of that. But those of us who have kids, for instance, are not always in the control. in control of the energies in the house. And so today was one of those days where we get pushed. And the thing with the past and the ancestors, um, I just wanted to let you guys know this is a healing resonance that's been coming in since yesterday. And since you're all here, dealing with collective energies right now can become easier if you sort of go into your roots, if you go into your fundamentals, if you go back into like where you're from, where do you belong. First chakra aspects are very, very strong right now. And I find this a very good time for doing this simply because there is a lot of sort of family stuff going on that we're dealing with right now, even if it's just through cards or phone calls. And the healing resonance showed itself in form of talking about family, talking about old stories, sharing, creating the sense of belonging and remembrance. So that is something, if you don't know really how to counteract this, talk just about the past. You know, bring in things that, you know, your grandmother always used to say, or bake the cookies, your favorite cookies that your mom uh, uh, baked or your grandmother baked. So these things are all things that connect you with your roots. Yes, and I'm getting a lot of comments here. This is exactly what I've been going through. So yes, that's exactly what came up for us. Yes, so and yes, and for others it's starting to feel a little easier. But this is something you can do, and if you look at the screen right now, you've seen the chart for the first chakra. I don't have enough time to explain all this, but we can get some cues here. What are the emotional aspects that are being triggered? This is exactly what I was going through today, all day long. And of course, there are things that we can do about them here in the remedy section. So you'll have that on the recording, and I will also send this with the recording. Here's a question: how can you tell the pain you are currently experiencing is more of a result of your current vibrational status or a result of you pushing for transcendence through your shadow? Can painful experiences actually be indicators of spiritual progress? What a beautiful question. Thank you for asking this, Ryan. Yes, absolutely. This is, in fact, one of the things that we had been talking about here in the past couple of days is how the shift of our vibrational state shifts our perspective or our perception of who we are, where we're at, who we're with, and the world that we're in. In other words, we all know this. There are situations or events that happen that are very painful in the moment, like, say, the loss of something. And it is, of course, done, causes a lot of resistance in us and grieving or, you know, anger or the feeling of injustice or, you know, resistance. And we fight the loss. And so in that moment where we are in resistance, like, say, anger as a vibrational state, we cannot see this. But a couple of months later, it may turn out that this very same thing, this very same event, this loss or this situation that we had to deal with that was really rubbing us the wrong way, that was really pushing us into pain, that this was actually exactly what was needed to progress, to move further. And I find it interesting that you're asking this because I actually brought up a slide today that was going to show exactly that. Sorry, I'm going to have to like just move through this here. Nope. That symbolizes the wisdom in that. It's about becoming real. Every time you challenge your ego, your energy is forced to shift. rearrange, realign, and adjust. Feeling rubbed the wrong way, or like you say, feeling the pain of being pushed into transcendence, is an opportunity to become more real. It provides you with the willingness to leave your comfort zone. And that is the truth of anything, of any challenge that we experience.
Every challenge. They're all very good training.
Yes, and here I was after I wrecked my daughter's car, like, oh my God, it's going to be $5,000. What is the experience in this? So, yes, it's very difficult sometimes in the moment, right? But this practice of really sort of allowing ourselves to have these experiences and to trust in our ability to transcend things, all right? This is what can get us through the moment, all right? It can get us through that situation. Of course, you know, there's some other things that we can do, like, for instance, the breathing through the heart that we've been talking about a lot. That's spiritual, energetic first aid, okay, in the moment, all right? The moment I hit that mailbox, it was like, ah, and then I just sort of, you know, went inside and started breathing through my heart. Now, of course, my daughter was yelling at me, so then I had to breathe a little harder. um, but what I mean to say is that there is a discipline that we can develop to really embrace challenges and to really see that every time our ego is challenged, and ego, of course, is not just in the sense that you know, egotistically. Our ego is challenged when we go into fear, when we go into control, when we go into attack, when we go into victimhood, and you name it. All right, those are all energetic states, lower vibrational states, that are linked to our ego, to our physical, to our mind and emotions. So, and they're all real and they're all there and they're all okay. We just need to learn how to deal with them as they occur, and then how to sort of get that attachment out of us, all right? Like this oh my God feeling that I had today, just as an example, and to allow our energy or our heart to carry us through the situation so that we can begin to see the bigger picture and that we can begin to see, maybe not even seeing yet, but that we can begin to trust that this is all good. So in the end, um, this was on the way to the airport, so there was another hour that I had to spend in the car with my daughter, and we had some time to process all that, and some good things came out of that. But the larger purpose of this is yet to be revealed, so we'll see.
It's interesting. There's a wide range of reactions to that situation. That, you know, there are people that would go so far as to attack the mailbox owner for putting it there, blaming them, going ballistic, or going into peace, like you talked about. So many
My
different
ego
ways to
went there
come
for
at
a
it.
moment. Why is the stupid mailbox right there? But that was just my ego. Okay, it was on my
Right.
own property. All right.
Uh-huh.
And there was a
But
lot of
it shows you the
yes,
choices of how you handle things.
yeah, and there's of course, you know, it's about this uh, letting go of this this the ego's sort of trying to talk you out of, say, taking responsibility for what just happened, you know, or just admitting that you completely messed up, all right, or you know, that there's nothing that you can do about this right now. You can't change this right now. So this is really something a lot of us, I'm going back here to another slide, that a lot of us forget sometimes, is that, you know, here, this is my favorite quote here, trying to find lower vibratory solutions for higher vibratory problems, in situations where we are completely stuck. in a place where there's absolutely no solution to find. Okay? There was no way for me to solve the problem with any of these energetic or emotional states. And for those of you who are joining here the first time today, we talked about this in length in the previous days. So please go back to the recordings if you would like to know more, because today we're going to go a step further here. And we have a few people here who are sharing in the comments. If you guys want to talk into the microphone, because your stories are a bit too long for me to just answer, all right? So please raise your hand if you would like to share into the microphone so that we can actually talk about, okay, there's no solution, okay.
Jona, I'd like to mention a quick example of something very similar around this. A woman I work with recently was parked to make a left turn, and a car ran into her. The police report came out and said there was no damage to the car. She instantly became angry and started fighting everyone. I'm talking after the accident now. Things weren't working out. The insurance companies weren't going to pay and all that. She was in an attack mode, blaming first of all the other driver. And she was getting resistance from everyone. Nothing was working out. And her and I spent a good portion of a day talking through it. Got her to the point where she was able to let go. Her communications with everyone involved became very mellow. And within 3 days, the entire thing was resolved. Her car was paid for.
Yes.
And it was real cool how it all worked out.
This is a very cool example, Roger, for the focus of today, taking the higher road. All right? It's something we need to understand. The problem is only that most of us have so much repressed anger or so much repressed victimhood or injustice in us that when something like this happens to us, we feel so reconfirmed in our perception that the world is against us, that everything, that nothing is fair, and that it's always us, and so forth. That it's very difficult for us to leave that state. We get sort of stuck in this state, and because it reconfirms our belief. All right. So I'm sure in your coworker's situation, this got triggered in her.
Victimhood immediately.
Yes. But see, the thing is that when we understand that if her, of course, immediate coping mechanism, okay, and we use this chart here to show the dynamics, all right, just so you understand what we're doing. Her coping mechanism from victimhood went immediately into the next higher level, which is good. It's a form of transcending. It's a form of progressing, okay, which in her case was anger and attack. Anger and attack, of course, cause the environment, other people, and so forth, to counterattack, right? And so
Exactly.
a lot of people make the mistake that when they get out of their victimhood, that they get into anger and disdain and try to attack the problem, and the problem then counterattacks them. And people can sometimes spend years and years in that state and never let go. So when I say it's the attachment to a certain state, what I mean is when we get stuck in it. All right, it's okay to be angry. I was angry there today for a moment. And then I went into control, like, don't worry about it. It's like all under control. And yeah, and some judgment was there on my end. And then I realized, okay, this is really not what all this is about. This is about really letting go, because I still have to get them to the airport. I still have to, function here in a certain way. So if I just go into resistance with the whole situation, it's not going to get me any further. It's not going to resolve anything. So in my case, I had to let go, really let go, and try to just sort of dissipate the energy in the car with the kids, and come up with solutions that are vibrating on a higher level. And the biggest shift here then in the car after like 10, 15 minutes was empathy, where I said, of course, I'm really sorry about your car, and I'm taking full responsibility for this, of course. And this is what we're going to try. I can't promise that it's all going to work out by the time you're back, but we're going to try. We're going to work on this. All right. And so everybody knows what that's like with people that you love, but when it's like with an insurance company or police or any type of institution, judge or whatever, it's a bit difficult. You can't really talk to them in that way. So the only thing you can do, and this is something that came up yesterday, actually quite a bit, was to first shift your own energy out of that state of resistance. So anything sort of here in these contracted, in these red states, okay, that's going to pull you further down, all right? That's going to pull you further into attachment. And so the first thing that you need to focus on, if you are serious about taking the higher route, is to shift your own energy, okay? Your environment, your circumstances, the people around you, they will always respond to the energy that you're in. 99.9% of the people out there are not sensitive, or let's put it this way, they're not aware of their energies, which means they can pick them up, but they're not aware that this is what they're responding to. Those of us who have energetic sensitivity, who are kind of forced to deal with this and educate ourselves a little bit, for us it's a little easier because we can control our energy just a little more. And Amanda said something really cool yesterday. Every time, she gets out of these places here, she can feel that there is this space that is created within herself where she has a choice, where she begins to have a choice. And that then really is the only difference between someone who's energetically aware and someone who's not. Someone who's energetically aware knows what state he or she is in and can at least bring themselves to this place here where there's sort of a basic letting go, not yet a solution yet, but just a basic letting go of the inner resistance. And that creates almost like as if the time stands still. In that space, we have more time to respond. We don't have to react. We can respond. And that is then what gives us the choice. And because most people, like the vast majority of people, do not have this awareness, all they do is react all day long. React based on any of these contracted states within themselves because they're stuck there. That does not make them good or bad. There is absolutely no judgment in that. It just shows energetic dynamics, how we can get stuck in things.
It's one of my most important tools now. It's used daily. Stand with things until they dissipate a little bit and then get to that place where it can make a choice and respond without spraying all my initial feelings into the environment, right?
Yes, it's more or less about creating this space for yourself. It's getting out of this hardwired reactionary energy. Okay, anything here that's attached to our ego, which is all these lower energetic states, they're reactive. They're hardwired to our nervous system. They're hardwired in our cell memory, in our pain body. So that's why they're so difficult to overcome. And the last couple of days, we've been talking about why they're so difficult to actually realize when we're in them. Because they have these attachments, which means it's almost like a recursive thing. We're sort of looping within ourselves. And giving it the time through our awareness and through us shifting our energy into a state where we become the observer while we are still the experiencer, that allows us to at least observe where we're at. It doesn't provide us with solutions right away, but it allows us to observe, oh my God, I'm really angry right now. Or oh my God, I'm going into depression right now. All right. When someone is stuck in this state, he or she cannot observe that they're in that state, which makes it very difficult for them to move out of the state by themselves. Oops, oh, I just deleted 2 questions. I'm so sorry, guys. Whoever just sent in questions the last couple of minutes here, could you please resend them? And we have someone here who would like to share. Hang on.
I'm wondering if that triggered anything in any of them.
Hi, Jona.
Hey.
Hi, Roger.
Hey, how you doing?
Okay. Well,
Good.
Okay, this is Adi calling from England, from London, England,
yeah,
right?
London. Yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thanks. I just want to ask you a question. When you look at somebody, maybe a member of your family, you see them in a negative way,
Hmm.
and hugging them is that you reacting or responding in a positive way?
You mean when you hear them talking in a negative way, if that's sort of a reflection of what you were saying?
You know, if you look at them and there's a negative image about them that you don't like.
Okay. Can you turn your loudspeakers down just a little bit, Adi? There's an echo there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good
And
question, and especially in regards to like taking the higher road. Okay, you have
So
a
you're
conversation.
seeing a family member in a negative way, or anyone. Say you look at them and you get a negative judgment in you or something. Go
yeah,
on from there. I didn't catch all of the second part.
you see a negative image about them. Maybe something they've done in the past that you're not happy about.
Uh-huh.
And just hug them rather than just react. Just hug them and
Yes, this is complicated because it depends on where this person is at. And here we get into the complexity of energetic interaction. See, if you're like, say, in the streets of South London, right? And you're interacting with an angry guy and he wants to punch you in the face. I don't think hugging them is actually hugging him is going to get you out of that situation. Uh, so there is a very important aspect there, and that is, of course, besides your own energy. So let me write this example here for a sec. If someone is in a really low energetic state for whatever reason, and that triggers you to go into fear, then the likelihood that this person is going to, like say, attack you is higher than when you can stay within that space, where you just sort of calm down internally.
okay.
Because by your energy rising, okay, it can neutralize the other person's negative sentiments. But again, it of course depends on the situation. If you just called him an asshole, then just shifting your energy is not going to change the other person's intention. So, but let's now take a situation with, I think that the one that you were referring to, right? Like a
Yeah.
family situation
Yeah.
where there's love, and where you want to be empathetic, where you want to be present, and you still see something negative in the other person. And this is very similar to the question we discussed yesterday about what do we do if somebody else is angry at us, and but we are really trying. So how can you neutralize a person whom you want to be in relationship with, and who, like say, generally has a good energy, just not in that moment, right? Then you can try a few things. So one of the things that helps sometimes, especially with kids, is to touch if it's appropriate. Like is to like, the pat on the shoulder, or it's very similar to the grounding that Roger mentioned earlier. Yes, or of course, a hug, those things, of course, and I'm reading the comments here. The hug and so forth usually comes after the resolution was found. But when you are with someone who's just like say angry at you, but you love them and you really don't want to energize that any further, or you feel a hostility in them, based on some, like say, judgment that this person has about you in the moment, then the only thing you can do really is to stay in your energetic position and give this person space. So this chart here, shows something new. It adds something new to the charts that we've looked before, namely how you can transcend that at least to the next couple of levels. All right. So when a person, like say, like your son, loves you but is angry at you or has negative sentiments towards you in the very moment, then what you can do is generally try to shift the energy in this situation. And that's something can be easily done, maybe with turning on some music or asking if he would like to have some dessert, or like almost like a distraction, but to shift the energy out of that sort of stuck situation, all right, where you can't really do anything about judgment, another person judging you, unless you go into sort of counter judgment or control, which would lock you into that very same state. So all you can do is stay in that state where you're at, like say acceptance. Okay, I accept that my son has judgment towards me right now, and I try to understand. But oftentimes we have to give the other person a little bit of space, and that space can be sort of enlarged by shifting the outer energy. So to create better conditions to let the overall energy of the conversation to rise. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. You're right.
So it's about creating conditions, all right? Because you can't really do anything. If someone's angry at you and yelling at you, all you can really do at that moment is to yell back, which lowers your energy, or to go into sort of fatherly authority. Don't you dare to talk to me like this. It would be control.
Looking for
Just
trouble.
alone. So if you want to really maintain your higher vibrational state, you have to let go there in the moment, and trust that as soon as the conditions are better, he's going to be in a better state, and in that better state, then you can begin to communicate again and try to find solutions. All right, but the main thing to really sort of burn into your forehead is that the solutions that you can find, they're always bound to the energy that you're at. So if you go into anger too, then the solution will be based on anger or lower. So if you want solutions to be like, say, here, on the level of love and unconditionality, or healing for that matter, then you have to really sort of make sure that you create the conditions for the other person to get to that place as well. All
I
right?
remember back speaking of this with my own father. He would get me very angry sometimes, and once he would realize it, he'd come in and try and fix it, make things better, and it just used to make me crazy. He had to give me space. He had to back off and give me space and so I could let my own energies dissipate before I was even open to anything from him. So it's sort of like the environment we talked about the other day. Sometimes you just have to stay in, connected with your own heart and provide a environment to love. Don't do anything and just allow the
Yeah.
person to be.
There are
And
some other comments here, other recommendations from other people. Look into their eyes with your heart open and be quiet. That can help sometimes, except for when you stare at them. Then they may feel attacked. If they're in anger already, then they're like, why are you looking at me like this?
reflecting it very well, yes.
No, but that's very, very true. So it's about the conditions. It's about the field that you're creating. And this gets us deeper into energy work here because um, uh, we have to understand that we are not just sort of single sellers, that we are not just uh, um, individuals that do not interfere. Our energies constantly interact. They constantly um, do something with another, whether we are aware of this or not. And so when we talk about a field, an energetic field, then what we're talking about is sort of the overall condition in that both our, or however many people are participating, our energies create. Is there an overall feeling of, say, hostility, for instance? Is there an overall sort of consensus about cooperation, or is it competition? So, what is the condition and the field in which all this takes place? That's why sometimes it's so difficult to answer questions without a detailed context, because the context gives the meaning to the situation.
Every situation is so different than they're living, so they're constantly changing, and it's just something you have to feel out constantly. You just have to stay in touch with it and learn to feel what's going on.
And here's a comment from someone who listened to you, Roger, yesterday, and said, I did this last night. Roger recommended to allow them to feel heard, and to be heard, and to give that space. So this is, for instance, a response that resonates here, an empathy, being present and allowing, all right, and just being in our heart, just like you said, Roger. It's often when we have these situations with loved ones, it's often really not about what we do. It's often about what we don't do, like refraining from reactivity. But we don't really have to do anything instead if we can be present and really just allow the situation to be as is and accept the situation. That is really something that is already higher in its vibratory resonance than trying to go against it, trying to resist, trying to top it, trying to eradicate it, trying to fix it. Trying to fix things is control. Or we're trying to analyze it and criticize it. And yes, there's someone else is making the recommendation here to really ask for a timeout. Very good, Julian. Thanks for
Yes.
bringing this up. This is something that we teach in the Sacred Self-Healing course, and it's very, very simple, actually. Once we become aware of how our energy sort of fluctuates throughout a day, and we realize that our energy is caught sort of in a lower vibratory state, and we need a bit to ground ourselves, like say through going into the park, or through just calming down, just breathing, or letting go of the past and being in the present. Sometimes this doesn't work within a second or so. Sometimes it takes a couple minutes. Sometimes it takes a couple of hours. And to communicate that with the people that we love and say, hey, you know what? I'm not sure how I'm feeling about this right now. Give me a moment to feel this out. To really translate that into our words, into our communication.
These same things we're talking about here can be expanded and applied to many things in life, not just interactions with one person.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to take a moment, Jona, and remind you it's 15 minutes to end now.
Ooh, yeah, thank you for reminding me. Okay, there is a question here. Um, how do we deal with sadness in people around us, especially, of course, those that we love, and which affects us then as well? So sadness is located here on the level of pain. Okay, so this is a big one, and I want to say, and I have to hurry up here. Um, Sending love to another person is not necessarily the answer, especially if we have a tendency to absorb other people's energies. And so sadness is a very good example. There's a lot of us with an open heart, okay? And when we feel that a person is in sadness, it's almost like an attraction. We feel attracted to that. And of course, then we open ourselves up and begin to absorb it. All right, and that affects us then in a negative way. I mean, soon, a couple of hours later, we feel depressed, right? And this is what we call absorption in energetic dynamics. All right, and the reason why this hits some people harder than others is because some of us have attachments in certain areas, which makes us more vulnerable for this particular frequency, for this particular emotion, for this particular behavior that's coming from others. So if you if you know this about yourself, that you are really sort of susceptible to pain or to sadness of others, then you need to be particularly careful about really going into it, so that you don't absorb that pain. Because the truth of the question is, Maori, later you're going to have to deal with that. You're going to have to let go of that sadness. And that is something, that leads us now to the initial questions that we had a couple of days ago. How do we deal with energies coming in from the outside? Well, it doesn't really matter if they come from the outside, if they come from another person, or if they come from within. Wherever we have an attachment, that's where it sticks to. All right. Okay. So yeah, real quick out of week, because we have to move on. Our session is starting in 12 minutes.
Okay.
Oh, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I just want to say, do you just stay away from them?
Yes. The the counter sort of behavior, or the counteraction to absorbing other people's pain, requires you to be able to transcend your own pain first. So you have to get yourself healed, and then really but we can talk about this tomorrow, because this is really important. How to deal with absorption and projection.
I also want to just quickly mention, because it's been coming in for me all day, it's really important that we recognize that we don't know another person's path, and we have no right to push them in a place where we think they need to go. Sometimes people need to go through the processes they're going through, and you just need to allow things, right? So that's it.
That's right.
Thanks,
So
everyone.
sometimes it's okay to just let people be sad, and to just be there. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to suck it up. It's okay. Like Roger said, this is something that they need to go through. And just you being present, if you can manage to keep your energy here on this level of empathy, then just your presence is going to help this person heal. There's nothing that needs to be done, but you don't need to absorb it either. All right, so coming to the last part of our show here today, this went really fast today. Channeling July 2017. All right, if this is your first time here now, we're going to do a little bit of a breathing exercise, and I'll keep this breathing exercise short today. You can look up, like maybe yesterday's session, the recording, and I explained it really well there, and how it's clearing some of our channels, and why this allows us to tap into our precognitive abilities. So we're all going to take a moment here right now, and you can close your eyes, you can keep them open. I like closing my eyes when I do this. And just try to find your center. When I say center, it's really sort of the center of your energy body, but if you don't exactly know where that is located, it's usually sort of here in the center of your chest. on the level of your heart, but not on the left or right. It's right in the center, towards your spine. And when you breathe in, visualize all your energies above your center, you know, in your upper part of your torso, which represents mental energies, to go into your center. So you're basically sucking them into your heart center as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Just visualize them all, sort of leaving you sideways, forward and backward, but on the level of your heart, not sort of coming out of your mouth, but coming out of your heart, really. So like a shop vac, okay? So when you breathe in, you suck all excess energies, emotional, mental energies in, and when you breathe out, you release them sideways. And I'm going to do this here a few times with you guys together, and then we're going to, I'm going to ask you to tune into July 2017 and just sort of blur out whatever you feel like. It can be anything: taste, smell, color, feeling, emotion, physical sensation, a picture that you see, anything. All right? So let's get started. Breathing in, pulling all excess mental and emotional energies into your heart center. Hold it there for a second. And then breathe out sideways for as long as you can. Breathe in again. Hold it. And release it sideways. Breathe in. Hold. And breathe out. One more time. Breathing in. Okay, this has shifted something just right now. Holding and breathing out. When you tune into July next year, what do you feel, sense, see? Just say it out loud, those of you with water, okay? I'll just read out loud what I see here on the screen when you guys type. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of blue energies, okay? Woods, trees, loneliness. I'm actually feeling a pain in my heart right now. This could be related to the loneliness. Yeah, lots of squares. Okay, I'm assuming squares as in form of like geometrical shapes. Blue cup on the table. Okay, keep going, guys. This is awesome. I'll explain this in a second here, what all these things, I'm not going to explain what they mean, but I'm going to explain to you why this is awesome. Okay, something big, like a wall. Could this be like a wave, maybe? Because I'm seeing this as like a blue wall in front of me. Okay, I'm going to have to feel this out. All right, I'm going to... Yes, okay, So a lot of people got yellow. The yellows I see too. So yellow and blue. So there's like something maybe with the sun and water. Very strong. Flock of birds. Okay. Roads. I'm also writing while I'm reading and talking and feeling. Didn't feel watery, but just a sense of something large, like a barrier in front of me. Yeah, this is interesting. So we're getting a lot of input here, a lot of different symbols of sun to the left. Okay, sun to the left. these things may all not tell you a lot, okay? Mason symbol, all right, I'm going to write that down. Because those things can have significance. You just don't want to go into interpretation. Pain in forehead, okay, the pressure there, yeah, I can feel that too. Warmth to the left. So on the left side, there is warmth and sun. But yes, pressure. A lot of people saying pressure, pressure, pressure. Pressure in third eye, pressure in forehead. Yes, that's the same thing. Pressure here in the, like right above the solar plexus. Yep. And there was the word chaos. Okay, the word chaos. All right. I will let, we got to stop here, but I will tell you why this is awesome. When there's such a big, strong string of information coming in, and there's like 10, 15 people here contributing. Yes, pushing down. Yeah, that's right. Aloneness. So this is like we all in a different place on this planet. So we all have kind of different camera perspectives here. And some of you may know this. I have a little bit of a training in remote viewing, and there's protocols to that. And of course, we did this now without a protocol. We just really sort of tapped into our precognition here intuitively without any lots of front loading, you know, any kind of target or whatever. So we're just really looking at what does that feel to us. And when I'm creating the forecast for 2017, I'm going to put all your guys' descriptors in. And I've said this before. When you read the forecast for 2017, you're going to know that you guys contributed to this, all right? But right now, these are a lot of descriptors. So each and every of these adjectives and feelings and so forth that you guys shared here will allow me to go deeper and to really get a precise picture of that month. All right. We're going to have to let you go now. If you have any questions regarding what we talked about today, even if you're listening to the recording, please send in a question. There's this link to sending in questions before the show, and we can follow up on that tomorrow. All right. And tomorrow's session is going to be more about the inventory of our inner energy. So I want to go deeper into the subject of absorption and projection tomorrow, because this is very important for us energetically sensitive people to learn what the connection is here. Why do we tend to absorb sadness more than other things, or why is it with certain people, and what is it that we can do to prevent energetic absorption from others? All right, well, thank you all very, very much. Adi, thank you for sharing here. You were our icebreaker today. And Roger is already gone. He's already starting to prepare the Gaia Sophia session that we have starting in 1 minute. So I'm going to have to make it short and say thank you all so much. It's been an honor, and I wish you a wonderful night or a wonderful session if you happen to be in the upcoming Gaia Sophia. Thank you. Bye-bye.